Biden offers a message for Kim Jong Un as he wraps the first leg of his Asia trip. U.S. President Joe Biden right to meet with South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol on May 21, 2022 at the People's House in Seoul. So, CNN. Before President Joe Biden concluded the visit to South Korea on Sunday, he offered a brief message to the nuclear-armed dictator to the north, who U.S. officials believed could be prepared for a provocation during the U.S. leader's visit to Asia. Hello, Biden said when asked his message for Kim Jong Un. The succinct greeting reflected the Biden administration's so far unsuccessful attempt at restarting diplomacy with Pyongyang. Attempts at outreach to the north have gone mostly unanswered. Instead, Kim has intensified missile launches and could be preparing for a seventh underground nuclear test. Biden said he was prepared for such contingencies to occur during his first trip to Asia. We're prepared for anything North Korea does. We've had thought through how we are going to respond to whatever they do, and so I'm not concerned, Biden said. He was speaking before visiting with some of the nearly 30,000 American service members stationed here as a last stop on his visit to South Korea. The Americans deployed on the Korean peninsula have long acted as a signal of U.S. military strength in the region, made anxious by the nuclear-armed nation to the north. Increasingly, he also acts as a reminder of Western muscle in the region heavily influenced by China. Biden observed a joint airspace control center where members of the U.S. and South Korean militaries work alongside each other to monitor airspace made tense by North Korea's intensifying missile test. Our alliance is formed through shared sacrifices of the Korean War, and several decades later, thanks to you, the Republic of Korea is a strong, thriving democracy. Biden told the group standing near a large screen showing images of the Korean demilitarized zone. Biden opted not to visit the DMZ on his visit, unlike his predecessors, because he wanted to see U.S. service members at their base. All the American troops that are here and your families, thank you for what you do for our country and our allies, he said. Later, he joined a group of military families for ice cream. Earlier in the day, the president met with Hyundai Motor Group chairman Chung Eui-sun in Seoul, where he highlighted $11 billion in new investment from the Korean automaker, including $5.5 billion to open a new electric vehicle factory in Savannah, Georgia. One of Biden's primary objectives in visiting Asia this week has been to reaffirm his commitment to two key alliances while also seeking ways to further expand the cooperation. He will depart to South Korea for Japan later in the day, bringing with him a similar message of reassurance that America's longtime ally in the Pacific can depend on the United States as a reliable security and economic partner. A day earlier, Biden and his South Korean counterpart, President Yoon Suk-yeol, wrote in a joint statement that they were open to expanding joint military drills that Biden's predecessors scaled back, believing them too costly and provocative. Biden said the cooperation between the two countries demonstrated our readiness to take on all threats together. The expanded military exercises will be aimed at ensuring what it takes to best ensure ensure military readiness, and best ensure our ability to work closely together, a senior administration official said Sunday, though declined to offer a timeline or guideline on the scope of the expanded drills. Mr. President, your country's democracy shows the power to be able to deliver for each people, Biden told Yoon during a toast at the start of the state dinner on Saturday evening. We're proud to say the generals we meet today can say as well that our armed forces stand side by side, standing on the peninsula for 7 decades to preserve the peace and make possible that shared prosperity. He was likely to take a similar message to Japan, which also hosts a sizable population of American service members and maintains a mutual defense treaty with the United States. Increased provocations from North Korea and territorial grabs by China have caused deep concern in the country, which has looked to the U.S. for assurances about its security. Biden is expected to call on Emperor Naruhito at his imperial palace before meeting Monday with Prime Minister Fumio Kishida, who took office last fall. Later, he will unveil the outlines of the trade plan for Asia that officials hope can generate wide support, and he will conclude his visit with the summit with the Quad collective comprised with the United States, Japan, India, and Australia that is widely seen as the attempt to counter China's military and economic ambitions. Biden has sought on his trip to link the parallel set of economic and security issues that has emerged in his discussions with the leaders. His trade outline, viewed as the scaled-down alternative to the Trans-Pacific Partnership Trade Pact scrapped by his predecessor, is expected to place heavy emphasis on resilient supply chains decoupled from Chinese part, a message he conveyed at multiple points in Seoul. Among the other myriad issues he hopes to raise, which include the regional security, trade, and the COVID pandemic and the Ukraine war, is the question of improving ties between the two countries he is visiting this week. Relations between Japan and South Korea have worsened over recent years, a combination of long simmering historical resentment and more recent trade actions. Biden told reporters in Seoul on Saturday, "This is critically important. The U.S., South Korea, and Japan have a very close trilateral relationship." He said the current state of the world, where autocratic regimes like China and Russia have challenged the democratic norms, demands the rest of the world to stick together despite the lingering differences. Things have changed, Biden said during his news conference. There's a sense among the democracies in the Pacific that there's a need to cooperate much more closely, not just militarily, but also economically and politically.